Budget Therapy.
Let's get ready to rumble!
What a performance that was.
Well, wonderful viewers out there. It's time for Sportsville. My name is George Alua. We are set to roll tape again, and my colleagues are here. Tony Nwokoma Ubani is here, and baby of the house, Oliti Tobex Tobechuku, is equally here. We're going to give you the best of sports on TV as we do here, week in, week out. And it's a loaded package, I must tell you. After so much of no action, the Nigerian Professional Football League has started 7 months. It was in the doldrum, but it started on a wonderful note last week, and we've seen great action, but it has come with its own drawbacks too. We'll take a look at that on the show today, and then I hope you are enjoying the very first grass slam of the year. Talk about the Australian Open, the scorching heat there, and the way Serena Williams is fighting it with her sexy wares. All that for you on the show today. When I come back, then I'll introduce my guests. As usual, we'll start with top news. Don't go away. It is Sportsville. All right, welcome back. I hope you are enjoying Sportsville. If you just joined us, you've not missed much, and we're set now to fire on all cylinders. Before I do that, let me start by introducing my guests. Let me start with baby of the house, Olichi Tobex Tobechuku. You're welcome to Sportsville.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And you were away last week because you were busy with women's football action.
Yes,
How did it go?
That's my first constituency. You can't take that away.
Is your first constituency?
Okay. I such Yusuf, an ex-Falcons player, has thought it wise, to give back, to these young girls, and we were all there together, to give her the support. It was fun.
The She Football Initiative.
Yes, She Football Initiative.
Okay, let me welcome Tony Nwokoma Ubani to Sportsville. Tony, you are laughing. She Football.
I went to
Our own is He Football.
I went to He Football. From He Football to He Goat.
Okay, let's fire on our cylinders now. As usual, let's start with top news. Let's tell you that the technical director of Nigerian Power Powerlifting Federation, Feyisa Are, is confident the country can make a clean sweep of medals at the forthcoming World Para Powerlifting Championship taking place in Lagos. That is from the 21st to the 31st of this month. The Paralympics gold medal winning coach disclosed this during a visit to the training camp at the National Stadium, where they are preparing for the 11-day championship. Nigeria is expected to compete in 10 categories at the championship. Let's hear Feyisa Are speak on this competition.
We've been doing this before, and we know we're going to still do it, and we will do it better. We are number one in the world, and this time around it's also happening in our own soil. So we won't leave any stone untouched. We're going to make sure that we win, if not all the golds, you understand? We'll win everything.
All right, that was Feyisa Are speaking to us there. And when it comes to powerlifting or anything para, be sure that Nigeria will do well, Oluchi.
Yes, that's an area that Nigerians are very confident, and these athletes, they are quite motivated. Going down at the National Stadium, seeing what they've been doing, they actually came out to say that they've gotten all the support that they need to get, and they've been training. Of course, we are confident that they are going to this championship. They are going to haul a whole lot of medals.
Okay, and that will be on at home, so we hope that they will do very well.
George, once it comes to Paralympics, I think it's not because they have everything there. I think it's the confidence they give to themselves. Yeah. And look at the person who is training them, Feyisa Are. He was one of the classy lifters for Nigeria. Exactly. And of course, there is that confidence that he exudes, that he gives to the the Paralympians. In almost every competition, they are just like a family. Exactly. I think that's just one thing that is lacking in other competitions, in other sports. The Paralympians, if you see the way they relate to themselves, they love themselves. And I've judged, once you translate that into action, you see that there is no stopping them. Not just because Nigeria, they do so much for them. I do know that most of them are still crying because of unfulfilled promises that have not been given to them. But once it comes to competitions and they have Are by their side, George, those people, they can lift anything.
Wow. Well, I just hope that the government will support them more, because if we do more for these Paralympians, they will go places.
And do you know that Are himself is not a staff?
Can you imagine?
He's not a staff of the
sports
ministry. Yes, it's not.
Wow.
It's unfortunate.
You can hear that. Well, the ball is in your court. The Minister of Sports, Solomon Dalung, you can do something about Feyiseto Are and these Paralympic athletes. They've been doing wonderfully well for Nigeria. Well, away from powerlifting now, let's take you to sports development. And one man that believes that sports development is being fast-tracked in Bayelsa State is the State Governor's Special Assistant on Public Affairs. Talk about our own Daniel Alabra. Alabra spoke exclusively to Sportsville. They talked about Bayelsa doing well at the 19th National Sports Festival, where they finished 5th, and the way the state government supported the athletes and even spoiled them with 1 million naira for those who won gold, and that the governor of Seriaki district, the one they call Countryman, is equally planning big for Restoration Cup Boys. That is a competition for community communities in Bayelsa State, and they are equally looking forward to equally launching the Principal's Cup in a special way this year. Alabra spoke exclusively to us. Let's hear Daniel Alabra share his thoughts on sports development in Bayelsa State with Sportsville.
In terms of sports development, well, we do at the moment. Bayelsa is not among the top-rated states in terms of sports, but when you look at our performance at the recent sports festival, you will be happy that we came 5th. This was not a position that we normally attained in the past. So it means something has been happening. It means that sports development, is beginning to the government is beginning to take another look at it.
All right, that was Alabra there, Daniel Alabra. He is a journalist. Anthony, Alabra, vintage Alabra there talking to us.
Yeah, Alabra, it's a special advisor to the government. And I must tell you that in Bayelsa, they always have the Daniels. And the Daniels always come to judgment. Talk about Daniel Alabra, talk about Daniel Egale, and talk about Samson Siasia. They always have names, that have biblical implications. And these men are always delivering on all fronts. Daniel Alabra, you know him, sweet-talking person. And of course...
And he played football at the
highest
level.
George, you know that one thing about Bayelsa State is that they are always there to help. You remember when Daniel Egale is doing everything, Bayelsa State government, even if it's at a national level, they will always support them, give them a home, a base for them to train. Once it comes to Samson Siasia crying, even when he was national coach, Bayelsa State government will always be there for them. I think that Bayelsa State government, has been doing absolutely, so much for sports in Nigeria, and that I think it's time for them to be recognized.
Okay, Bayelsa State doing well in sports, and the dividend has started showing with the Samson Siasia Stadium. It hosted a takeoff women's final, and our own Oluchito Bestovichukwu was there a year ago. Away from Bayelsa State and sports development, let's take you to handball. The men's senior handball team are now 46th in the world and 6th in Africa, according to the latest global and continental ranking released by International Handball Federation. The top 5 male African teams are Egypt, who are 15th in the world, Tunisia 17th in the world, Algeria 21st in the world, Morocco 35th in the world, and Angola, who are 42nd in the world. And like we told you, Nigeria is 46th in the world and 6th in Africa. I think things are looking good for Nigerian handball.
Yes, when you look at the ranking, of course, it will also serve as a motivation to these players. I've always said it that football isn't the only main focus. We should also spread it, down the line to other sports. And I'm also happy that, the Federation President, they've been doing everything possible to make sure that, handball is high up there. 6th in Africa, is a good one. We need to do everything possible. Egypt is 15th in the world. That's heartwarming. So for me, the most important thing is making a difference down there in the world map, not necessarily in Africa.
Wow. Okay, away from handball now, let's tell you that the Minister of Youth and Sports, Solomon Dalung, on Monday in Benin City commended the government of Edo State for its preparation ahead of the 2020 National Sports Festival, the one we call Benin 2020. Dalung paid an unscheduled visit to Benin. He was at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium that is under reconstruction. He was at the University of Benin Sports Complex, fantastic place to be, and he commended the state government for equally planning to build 20 mini stadiums across 18 local government areas in the state. So I think Edo is really fully prepared for this, and the facilities may just be ready ahead of Edo 2020. We'll have more than a year to go, but the way Dudu Rume and Co are kickstarting the preparation, I think it is going to be top notch. Kudos there to Edo State
I must commend the Edo State government. They've been in the news, you know, for positive reasons, especially in the area of sports. They've done everything possible to make sure that, you know, they touch the lives of, you know, their people, and the sports festival, you know, is also part of it. They want to let us know that when they invite to host it, they mean business, and they've started work, and you can see it in all the stadia and that they plan to build, and you can also see that work has started long ago, even in the Sam Ogbemudia Stadium. They have a governor that loves sports. They have a deputy governor that is crazy, especially with football. You can see the reflection with Bendel Insurance gaining promotion and all that. I must say kudos to Frank Ilaboya, you know, doing everything possible to make sure that not only has he done well in the area of journalism, but you can also, if you're good, you can be good in every.
All right. Honest, you can say that again. And even as we talk now, Frank Ilaboya said action will not just stop in Benin, that Omar West, you will begin to see action in sports in the weeks ahead.
Mark my words.
Mark my words.
Mark my words, he will always tell you. But I think that indeed, if you talk about Edo State getting ready for the sports festival, I think it's a smaller thing for them. Because if you look at the caliber of people, like Oluchi said, you talked about the governor who is sports loving, you talk about the deputy governor who is football, who is a football player, you talk about the FA chairman who himself, you know, knows the in and out of everything, talking about Frank Laboye. You talk about the big one, Dudu Orume. As in, if these men of Timber, Kalepa, Caterpillar, Gongoro cannot take those states to the next level,
who would do
I think
that?
we should bring them to the public market square.
They are matching words with action. They are matching words with action. But one thing we wait to see now is when insurance return to the Premiership, will the deputy governor be playing? He signed in the NNL. We want to see whether he will be in the action in the Premier League.
Just the man has achieved what he wanted to achieve.
Also,
bringing Bendel Insurance, you know, to the Premier League. And if the deputy governor wants to play now, he will be playing with the governor and Frank Laboye and Dudu Orume.
All right, we'll take a break now. That is top news. I hope you have enjoyed it. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. I hope you enjoy Sportsville. All right, welcome back to part 2 of the show. Now we're talking about the Nigerian Professional Football League, and it has started. We are now in week 3, and we've seen wonderful action, away wins here and there, draws, violence, and all that. Brand new stadium. At least we saw the one in Okigwe. Kudos to the governor of Imo State who took Heartland to Okigwe. Brand new stadium. We saw Heartland play against Plateau United. Good start to the season. But let's hear from somebody, a legend, superstar, when you talk about Nigerian Professional Football League. Victor Ezeji, he was in action in his heydays for Rivers United, Sharks of Port Harcourt, Enyimba Football Club of Aba. He is an accountant by profession, quality player he was in his days. Let's hear from Victor Ezeji. It's our way of giving you exclusives in Sportsville. Hello, Victor.
Well, it is a good thing that finally the league is back after several months, and you see that the players have been really eager to play. And from the results we saw in week 1, at least we got an away win. And very fortunately, again, in week 2, we've gotten an away win, go around beating Abia Warriors at their backyard there on Omoahia. You know, it tells you that the league has improved. If only we can keep this tempo till the end of the league, I think we won't have issues. The only problem where we have issues was week 1, Plateau United. where their fans assaulted central referees, which is not good at all for us. First day of the league, and that kind of hooliganism, it is not a good one at all. But overall, I think the league is on a good page at the moment. If the league is on TV, I am very sure, I can guarantee you that for free, that look, this violence won't be there because nobody wants to be caught in camera. Although sometimes it has to do with mentality. It depends on what they tell their fans, because most times you see teams going out, losing away games, and they'll come back and just, instead of accepting that they didn't play well, they'll go back to feed their fans with these excuses of the referee robs them. And, when the fans, that are not this enlightened, they hear that referee robbed them, they will want their team, the referee, to also help them in winning games. But games are not won that way. If you deserve to win, you will win.
All right, thank you very much, Victor, for sharing your thoughts with us all the way from Port Harcourt. And Tony, you had him there talking about the league, the need for the league to be on television. 3 weeks of action now, no match is on TV. And that is why somebody can stay in Jos and perpetrate violence because he drew at home against FC Ifeanyi.
Judge Ezeji is on point. Of course, he knows what he's talking about. He has played the game. And of course, like you reeled out, playing for so many of the very prominent clubs in Nigeria, Ezeji has just hit the hammer on the head. And I think there is no league that will survive without being on television. There is no league that is worth its while without being on television. In terms of profit, in terms of popularity, in terms of attracting people to come and watch, and in terms of, keeping violence out of the field. I think the TV has a very lot of advantages that it plays. And that's why FIFA does not play with it. And any game that is not being on TV, gives an opportunity for hoodlums to take over. And that's exactly what we're witnessing in the Nigerian League. The Nigerian League, if there is anything that is committed, nobody knows where it's coming from. And George, I must tell you too that some of the club administrators also fan the embers of this violence. Exactly. They find these hoodlums as a veritable tool for them to torment, for them to harass, for them to intimidate, their opponents with. But that's not what happens in the Premier League that Nigerians love to watch so much. Yeah. That even the club owners, the clubs themselves will be the ones to find out, the perpetrators of those, dastardly acts, calling even from their fans, and they ban them. It's high time we begin to do that, and of course, for us to expose our team, expose our game. Any game that is on television, there is so much prospect, so much advantages for it. And then I think that it's high time that the clubs should be the ones that will be the arrowheads, to start to figure out those hoodlums that bring football to disrepute in their sides. And of course, they should be fined heavily. The way Plateau United was fined. Yes. LMC fined Plateau United a total of 5 million. They will play the remaining of their 3 home games now. The next 3 home games will be played at the Lorraine Township Stadium, and they have been mandated to fish out the perpetrators of that act against FC Ifeanyi. If not, every day they will continue to incur 25,000 naira fine. I think that's a good one coming from the LMC. And like Tony said, come to look at it, TV, Plateau United, Heartland, it was in a brand new stadium in Okigwe, but nobody had the opportunity of seeing that fantastic stadium. Yes,
nobody had the opportunity to see. I saw pictures of the stadium, and I was quite impressed. I also want to know that the LMC, they are very, very uncomfortable. We have people that are very brilliant, and they know, what it entails to run a good league in a country, and I'm sure they are doing everything possible to make sure that we go back to where we were before now. And I also want to say that we've had a whole lot of distractions, negative distractions coming from the NFF, dovetailing to the LMC, because we have 1 or 2 persons that are in the LMC that are also in the NFF, and with so much distraction like that, it's quite very, very difficult for the board to actually concentrate. But I'm happy that we are back. 7 months rest, we are back. The league is on action. A whole lot of people are taking time to digest the new system of 2 groups and a bridge league. But I think in an election year is the best that we can offer. The most important thing is that we will get there. Let's get it right. And the LMC, they've done everything possible as far as the framework of the league will allow them to find these clubs if people feel that these fines is just a slap on the wrist, I can tell you that the Congress, if they are uncomfortable too, they can go back and implement these changes so that the LMC can work on it and, you know, increase the degree of such fines.
Okay, we just hope that those who are fanning the embers of disunity in Nigerian football, Luchi harped on that, those who are distracting the NFL, for Christ's sake, let this league be. They are demarketing Nigerian football today, because at the end of the day, it is Nigerian football that suffers. It is not those in NFF, it is not those in LMC. You take them from one court to the other, you distract them and all that. At the end of the day, who suffers? It is Nigerian football.
It's a Nigerian football, not only Nigerian football. It also affects Nigerian economy.
Exactly.
You know, because when our league is good, when our league is open to the window of the world, and the world, for the world to see it, our players become marketable. And when our players become marketable, just erupts off on almost every aspect of Nigerian economy. That's why when we talk about sports and talk about football, I think it's a bigger, brighter thing that everybody should sit back and relax in a very good atmosphere, devoid of intimidation, harassment. We're not talking about thuggery. Even the political arena, people are no longer into political thuggery. So why should we be talking about talks and maiming of members of the same family? Because football belongs to a very big family. We're all family members.
Okay, well, the league is on, and like we said, I think my producer is now launching to you the fixtures, and to me, the interesting pairing today on Sunday is Remo Stars, newcomers back to the Premiership against Insurance, another newcomers. They've been in the doldrum for over a decade and they are back now. That game will be at the Dick Modino Stadium in Shagamu, so it's going to be a testy one. And the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Right Honorable Philip Shaibu, has told these boys, go and win your first game and come back home and get a smile from Governor Baseke. Will Insurance get it right against Remo Stars? It's a testy duel, Oluchi.
It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Remo Stars, they are just coming back from the MPFL, and you know that some few days ago, their coach, Fatai Osho, resigned.
And they have a bigger coach in Boboye now.
They have a bigger coach, but he didn't do the recruitment, and the way he came in, players and the way they laid their allegiance to a particular club. I hope it doesn't rub off, on the players. I certainly hope not, but I know that one of the reasons that Shoname might have decided to bring Boboye was because he didn't want what happened to him in the just one season in the top flight. They got relegated. Maybe he didn't want that to happen again. So coaching? He wanted a very experienced coach. That is not belittling the fact that Fatai Osho
is a good coach. A tiki-taka coach for that matter.
He doesn't want to change his football philosophy. Like he said, he doesn't want to work under any coach in Nigeria. Like he said, that means he knows his onions.
He knows his onions.
So I'm going to give that to him. We have an Insurance that are back after over a decade, down in the lower league. So everybody wants to make an impression. They are motivated. They have a government that is solidly behind them. It's going to be a very tough one. I see them playing out a draw.
Okay, you see them playing out a draw. I'm still talking about coaches who have thrown in the towel. Fatai Osho quit because Boboye is coming to Remo Stars, and Aderele Moses equally threw the towel in Abia Warriors. And like we know, Aderele Moses was the one that recruited these players. He played so many preseason friendlies, winning as many as 14. At the end of the day, they brought a Henry Makiwa to head him, and today Abia Warriors have played 2 games. Today they've lost 2. Will they continue the losing streak?
I don't think so. But I must say kudos to the Nigerian coaches who have realized that they cannot continue to play second fiddle. Exactly. And for the very first time, we're beginning to see coaches who are throwing in the towel. In Nigeria, it's difficult for people to resign, no matter what you force into their throats. But then I'm so happy now to hear about Osho, who talks about his philosophy, and then talk about Aderele Moses, who is leaving Abia Warriors. As much as I dream and I admire that Abia Warriors should live like warriors, knowing that the man that guides them, Emeka Nyama, is a warrior himself. I think that it's time that Abia Warriors should get their ass well. And indeed, for the coaches who have resigned, I wish them very well in their future endeavors, George.
Okay, testing matches there, like we told you, in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Go out there and enjoy the games. Action is not only in the APL, La Liga and all that. You see big-time action in the Nigerian Professional Football League. And we hope that with time, the LMC will put this league equally on TV so that people can watch from home. Well, I hope you're enjoying Sportsville. We are giving you the best of sports on TV. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll round up the show, but not until we give you all the action from different parts of the world when you talk about upcoming events in sports. It's still Sportsville. All right, welcome back. We are coasting home now. My producer is telling me to get it done quickly. And let's take you straight to upcoming events. January 22, the Under-20 friendly between Saudi Arabia and Nigeria will be taking place in Jeddah. And that will be a good one for Paul Agbogun to take a look at his players ahead of the African Under-20 Nations Cup. From January 25 to 27, you talk about the Nigeria Women Football League Super 4. I don't know if this Super 4 is for 2018 season or 2019 season. Oluchi will be telling us that before she leaves the studio here. And then January 21 to 31, you talk about the World Para Powerlifting Championship that will be taking place in Lagos. We told you Are is preparing big for that one, and he says Nigeria will top the medal table. And January 26, the Lakers Scrabble Club retreat will be taking place in Lagos. I hope you follow all those upcoming events. And quickly, let me say a big thank you to Baby of the House, Oluchi Tobechukwu, for coming to the show.
Thank you so much, George. It's a pleasure.
The Super 4, Oluchi.
The Super 4, we strive not
Is
to...
it for 2018 or 2019
We strive not to lower the standard. We
Okay.
had the best Super 4 in Benin, and our aim is to make sure that we surpass that. And that is why we did everything possible to make sure that at the end of the competitions, the players, the coaches, and everybody, they go on smiling, and that has been our aim. And we hope, to achieve that, you know, in the few weeks to come back.
So I'm invited to Agege.
Certainly.
Okay, Super 4, talk about the women's Super 4 finals, and that will be 25 to 27 at the Soccer Temple in Agege. And Tony, I think you'll be going to Agege to go and see these girls play.
Yeah, many people go to Agege for different reasons.
Some people go for what reason are you going?
Some people go to Agege Stadium because they want to eat Agege bread.
Okay.
You know, so I'll be going to Agege Stadium.
All right.
For different reasons.
For different reasons. All right, that's the show. Tony was at the She Football Conference, so she will follow up. He will follow up with the Agege action. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. God bless.